Hello, everybody. Welcome to Women of Dance. I'm your host, Sharonne Vinokurov, and I'm so excited to be back with you. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I know I sure did. It was so great to take some time and be reflective and just thankful for all the blessings I've had in my life. One of the biggest ones has been this show. I've had the incredible experience of talking to so many wonderful women, and today's guest is no exception. She is incredibly talented. She is a powerhouse. She's been in the business for a long time. And she, like a fine wine, just keeps getting better with age. I don't know how she does it, but I'm hoping she's going to give us her secret. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, today's guest for my show, the fabulous Kathy Reyes.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you on. Thank you so much. It's going to be
Thank
so
you
good.
for inviting me here. I was rushing here to make it after my group class, so that was kind of a, let's make this happen.
Listen, it's good to know that you're so busy, because so
Yes.
many of us have been struggling. So the fact that you're running from place to place, that just makes me excited for you. It
Hmm.
means you're doing the damn thing, which is, that's what's up. So
That's good.
let's let everybody know all about you. I'm really excited to have you on. I feel like not enough people know about you, and you've been in the game for a really long time. You've done so
Okay.
much. So I'm really excited for everyone to get to know the real Kathy.
Thank you.
We
I'm really,
as
really
a
happy to share as much as as I can.
For those of you that are tuning in for the first time, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you have any questions for Kathy or myself, feel free to make a comment and we will get to them as best as possible. So, with that being said, Kathy,
Let's
take
talk.
us to the beginning. Why don't you tell everybody about how your dance life began?
All right. In the industry or overall?
Overall, let's take it back to the
Overall.
beginning.
Okay, so back to the beginning. Well, I think it's come to it started when I made it to the States. I think I've always loved dance in general. My dad used to be um, the type of dad that would record absolutely everything with the big old cameras here, right?
Nice.
So he would record all of our adventures, and there's so many videos of me being little and like dancing, in front of the TV because I would look at the dancers and I wanted to dance.
Hmm.
And so, anyways, it started like that. But as I progressed, I moved to the States. I was raised by my grandmother. I ended up um, getting into sports. My dad was also very athletic. So I got into sports. And in middle school, I had a friend who was a little bit shy and she wanted to try out for the team. So I said, I'll do it with you, right? Just to be there. I thought I was going to be a clown. But I ended up making the team, and my teacher at that time, she had a very strong personality,
Hmm.
and she taught me so much. And to she's the one who introduced me to the acrobatics. That was in
Nice.
middle school. So she introduced me to the acrobatics, and from there, once I went to high school, I continued to dance. I met my Spanish teacher because I went to a school that was just a college prep high school, and I was the second generation at the school. And they only offer Spanish class as a second language. So my Spanish teacher loved to dance, and she also kind of guided me through the dance journey. But at church, that's how I started in the Latin style. But at church, my pastor used to be he's Cuban. And so at church, they do the group dances and stuff. And my dad was a minister, or he's a minister, but because of Parkinson, he hasn't been able to do anything in regards to that. But we used to dance at church. And I remember I used to get in trouble because I would move too much. And so instead of like them putting me, like at the front, I was always put in the back, and my teachers would tell me, you move too much, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? What do I do? So it was a little bit of a weird experience, but I've been dancing since I was very young,
Mhm.
and I think I took it serious once I was in high school, and I had my instructors or my teachers tell me, you have so much potential in dance, and take dance classes when you go to college. And so when I went to college, I did. I took dance classes, and I started taking different styles, jazz, modern, and Afro dance, and Latin dance. And I remember I was introduced to the salsa class, right, in
Mm-hmm.
college. And back in the day, I would dance to the music, just how I felt it. There was no like 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. I had no
Mm-hmm.
understanding in line dance. And my instructor, my college professor, Mr. Botas, he actually told me, you have to take the beginners class the semester, but you should come to my intermediate class. So I said, okay. And,
Oh,
I think that's how everything started. And I can see that people would go to college to take just the salsa classes, the salsa courses, right?
mm-hmm.
And I saw more people having a little bit more experience, and I was underage still. And I couldn't go to the clubs to party, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so then I was introduced to Granada, LA. And that was the first club that I went to. And I started dancing with people. I hit people on the face. I made people bleed. That I was able to go there because it was all ages. So, and at that time, I was already 18. So I started going to Granadas, and there's a pretty cool story about that. And then once I turned 21, then I went to Steven's Steakhouse, and I saw more of the Latin dance community. I remember I subscribed. Oh my God, you guys are gonna laugh. I subscribed to one of those some email. I subscribed somewhere, right? And so I'm checking my email one day, and in college they taught us to when you go out there and you audition for something, you're gonna go with your headshot, your resume. You gotta be
Mm-hmm.
professional, ready to go, blah blah blah. So then I get one of those messages on email that says, we're doing salsa auditions and da 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 da. So I'm like, oh my God, this is my chance, because I love salsa, right? I show up to that audition with my headshot, with my resume, thinking I'm going to Hollywood, you know? I kid you not. And I show up to the audition, and I'm thinking, okay, where's everybody else? Like, I'm thinking I have to be there early. There's going to be a lot of people. That was my mindset. And yeah, it was just me and like a few more girls. And I remember the instructor was Josie Neglia, which she's, pretty, she's been dancing for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Josie Neglia, and she starts doing the basic 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I gotta make this audition. I had no idea that you had to pay dues. I had no idea that I thought I was gonna go there to get a job as a dancer. Put
Yep.
it that way, because that's what in college, that's what I was taught, like audition, audition, audition. So coming forward a little bit more, that is one of the main reasons why when I do an open call, or I don't call it the audition, because I don't want anybody showing up here with their headshot and resume. But that was my first experience. And I remember it was at the LA Dance Center. And that was back in 2008. Early 2008, okay. Where I got introduced to the teams, right? One of my first instructors, which at that time he was dancing with Josie Neglia, was Javier Campines. And today he's a good friend of mine, and he became also my partner at some point, and that was freaking amazing. But yeah.
I have a video of that we're going to get to later.
Yes. So Javier Campinos was one of my first instructors. And then at the same studio, there was different teams, right? Then I saw a Tropical Rhythm at that time, which was one of the top teams in LA. I think there was, the LA scene started with different teams, and what was that one team, the first team? Brava. I lost it. But
I can't remember right now.
Yeah, Salsa Brava, I think it was. But Anyways, so at that time, Tropical Rhythm and Magic Mambo were like the two top teams in LA that were like battling, right? And
Hmm.
back in the day, they had the Mayan competitions. That was like everything in LA. And so I think I came in towards like the very end of the Mayan, because after I came in, the Mayan, I think, stopped the competitions 2 years after that.
Hmm.
But it was a pretty great experience. And I was just a salsera, I did salsa on one. I joined teams, and I remember seeing my first, oh my God, that video. I remember seeing the salsa group rehearsing for the Mayan competition, and then the duos. And I told myself, next year I'm going to do that competition.
Hmm.
And so I did check myself out right there. That was my very first amateur salsa competition, and that choreography was um, by Luis Aguilar.
Oh, nice.
It's not Luis Aguilar from the Bay Area though. It's Luis
Oh,
Aguilar, and he knows by or Santiago Aguilar. He goes by DJ Zonic from
okay.
LA. So he was my director for Tropical Rhythm, and he choreographed this piece. And if I'm being honest, like he did so much for us. Great memories, because he took time to train us. There was no he didn't charge me for training me to do this competition.
Oh,
And I
wow.
learned that from him. I learned to be a giver, as far as like helping students out. Because he did that. He has so much passion. He still does, but he doesn't have a team anymore. But he was so passionate about competitions and teaching that he was like, "Come on, you two are competing," and would kind of dedicate his time to kind of train us. And
What
it was
was
pretty
this like for
great
you? This
experience.
first competition?
This was really fun. Something that I will never do is grab a costume that I've seen somewhere and do a replica of it like you see in this video. So this costume, I saw it from a ballroom dancer and I loved it. And I didn't even change the color. I had the exact same color and everything. I was like, I like this dress and I want it like this. Those are rookie mistakes, right?
We've all made them.
We've all made them.
We've all
So
made rookie
it felt
mistakes.
really exciting. I look at that video and I'm like, oh, I was pretty good as an amateur. Um,
Oh, for
considering that I
sure.
had been dancing for a year on a team, and kind of being exposed to the Latin dance community. So that was pretty fun. I got third place. I'm
That's
happy with that, and
awesome.
I still have my trophy.
Did you like the experience of competition your first time out?
I loved it. I loved it. I remember a month after this, we competed as a team. And I think that was the last team competition at the Mayan. And I did that. And I remember, like I said, I I had a goal for myself. This goes way after.
Well,
It
actually,
goes
this was
way after.
2010, so it's not that way after.
Yeah, I see. I think it's because it was the overall experiences of like competing from
Mhm.
since 2008 and 2009, 2010. Now for this bachata competition, this was the very first. This was when the Mayan kind of finished doing competitions. This
Mhm.
was the first bachata competition in LA
Steven Yeah, it
at
was
the
at Steven's
Stevens
Steakhouse.
Steakhouse, and it was an all open competition. So I remember you had Mike Zuniga there, and with Becky, I think, and then you had Zeke Rubalcaba, who came from Chicago to compete here, and you had Javier Campines as well with Francis Nieves, and there was a few more competitors. And for this one, I was introduced to bachata family members. One of my uncles love bachata, but in the dance industry, at the same studio where I used to practice with my former team, Tropical Rhythm, that I was a member of, um, I used to see Jorge and Leslie. Jorge
Mm.
Contreras and Leslie Ferreira, who are the co-organizers for the LA for the two festivals in LA that are happening,
Mhm.
one in February and one in the summer, the LA Bachata Festival. So I used to see them practice, and I remember they used to do this, dance to this song. But she would wear a pink dress. She loves pink. Anyways, I remember looking at her and I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks so beautiful dancing. He looks so good. They're so good. And so I became good friends with Jorge Contreras, and I remember he started the LA Bachata socials, right, at Steven's Steakhouse. And so, I remember how everything started, where we would show up every week to support him every week. Sometimes it was just a few people, and from there it just grew. It is what it is now because he gave it a go. At Steven's Steakhouse. And because, of course, Steven's Steakhouse gave him that opportunity to kind of the green light, right? So anyway, that's how I kind of got introduced in the dance community to the bachata world. And I remember here with Alejandro Rey, I met him at the Vegas Salsa Congress in 2009. And I was, I think, in July. And I remember he knew that I was a salsera, and he wanted a little bit of help with his girls on his team. So I started helping him a little bit, and then I ended up performing with his team at Steven's Steakhouse. And Jorge Lizondo, who is one of the top promoters in the bachata industry as well, he was there, and he comes up to me and he tells me, "You should go with Alejandro Rey to Dallas. You should go and assist him as a teacher." And da-da-da-da-da. And oh my God, the cruise.
Keep going. Keep talking about what you're talking about.
So, anyways, Jorge Lizondo gave me, DVDs. I told him, no, that's his world. I'm just helping him out here and there. And so he ended up giving me a stack of DVDs, because back then DVDs were so popular. And
I remember.
He said, "Here are some DVDs. Sell these DVDs. Don't give me the money. Buy your flight ticket with it." And to me, I was like, why is he giving me DVDs? I thought it was such a nice gesture for an organizer to do something, for anyone to do something like that, right? Because that's his work. That's his material that he's allowing me to have and to sell and to keep all profit. He didn't even ask me for, the cost of that he paid for making a DVD. He didn't ask me for anything. He just said, "Here's some DVDs, sell them, buy your ticket, go to Dallas." So I was very grateful. So I said I would do it, and I said I would go and support. And that was my first experience as an assistant at the Dallas Bachata Festival. And from there, we came back, and that's when they started announcing the LA Bachata competition, which you saw the video earlier. We did the competition, and we won. And I think I think that is why and I remember that was April 14, 2010. So that is why my anniversary as a professional dancer is April 14. I always celebrate that because, yes, of course, I have years prior to that of training in college and being an amateur dancer, dancing with a team. But I think, to me, April 14 is what opened, doing that competition is what opened doors with Alejandro Rey, right? To where it was no longer, "Oh, Alejandro Rey, come and teach." It was Alejandro Rey and Kathy Reyes, and although that didn't last very long, it was still an opportunity that has lasted a lifetime, or at least up until this point, right? Up until I say I'm retired. But that has helped me kind of build my legacy, and be able to inspire other people. Without that opportunity, I would probably not be here, or maybe my career would have taken a different route, But so I celebrate that, and I'm going on 12 years as a professional dancer and instructor. 12 years in April.
That's amazing. You have Ava Apple here saying, "Yay, go Kathy." And Jimmy Bowie said, "Marley."
Jimmy. Oh, yeah, because you hear her barking. Marley's my dog.
So if everyone's wondering what that noise was in the background, that's Marley.
That's Marley.
So that's Marley.
Yeah, she's like, wants to come up.
She just wants to be on camera, right?
Yeah. Well, you guys, I think because she's at the very bottom, and I'm honestly sitting on my bike. You guys
I
don't
wasn't
know.
going to give that away, but that's fine.
I'll give it away. I'm sitting on my indoor bike.
I love it so much. Oh, it's so great. You had another fabulous partnership with
Oh my
Steven.
God, yes. Steven is one of my good friends. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I always consider him a good friend. My family loved him. The same year, um, I think Alejandro didn't really like to do beyond LA competitions at that point. And I wanted to compete at the very first World Latin Dance Cup that was organized by or founded by Mr. Albert Torres. Um, and so the competition was in San Diego. And I remember saying, I want to compete. I want to do this, you know. And at that time, it was Alejandro and I were kind of going our separate ways, right? It wasn't healthy. It wasn't a healthy partnership. It wasn't a healthy anything. Um, and so I started training with my friend Steven Correa right here. And we went to that competition, and I had the honor to compete against Alien Ramirez and other phenomenal dancers in this category. There was no cabaret, there was no like just dance only. It was just, you know, they had their rules and everything, but they had not split it to that extent yet. And we ended up taking second place at the World Latin Dance Cup 2010. It was in December in San Diego. And it was amazing. It was such an amazing experience. Completely different. Oh my God, you guys. But
I have I
no, but
have to ask, just because it's as somebody who flies like you do, I love
mhm.
being in the air. Talk about the difference between going from a partner like Alejandro, who is just massive, right? He's super tall, he's super muscular, and
Like that was
then
Beauty and the Beast right there. You know, that was Beauty and the Beast right there. I felt like I was flying. You know, like, just pick me with one hand.
But
And I was,
here's the thing, right? The question isn't necessarily about, like, the difference between him and Steven in terms of, like, were you less panicked or whatever, but there are some people in this scene that wanna do cabaret, for example, and they
uh-huh,
think it only works if the guy is so much bigger than the girl, right? But
right.
that's not the case.
It's not the case. Look
It's
at the
not the
Colombian
case.
dancers.
So as a flyer, right,
Uh-huh.
what advice can you give to girls that wanna do that, right, and are like, "Well, my partner is not that tall, so what do I have to do to make tricks work?" Or, like, can you give
Okay, so
something for that?
also that happened right there. It was just all acting. Just that I confirmed that there was nothing between my friend Steven and I. um, that was just acting, a part of the show because of what the song said.
Of course.
So as far as acrobatics, right? Back then I was a lot more voluptuous, so I was a little thicker. Um, and so I think with Alejandro, he was always able to pick me up and carry me and do all that. Now, to be able to dance with someone who isn't as tall or as big doesn't mean that you can't do a trick, because someone big and tall may be able to do explosive tricks, right? Or certain type of tricks, but not other type of tricks, right?
Mhm.
So it's very different. Just because you're big and tall does not mean that um, you can execute everything. And just because you're shorter and leaner does not mean that you cannot execute a trick, right? I think it's just a matter of balancing. Of course, it requires strength, not necessarily muscles, right? So it
Mhm.
requires a lot of strength. You see a lot of the Colombian dancers, and they're about the same height, lead and follow, you know, and they're up there flying, you know. And it's a lot of the technique for this performance with Steven. I can personally tell you, I was perhaps too heavy for him to like toss me and lift me and stuff like that. You can see on some of my performances that we struggle with certain things, right? So when we performed, we just try to have fun. We never did any aerial, like any like let me jump all the way up and throw me, and you know, it was tricks that were more on the floor,
Mhm.
you know. And even if it was a little lift, I can tell that he struggled Again, but the Steven then is not the Steven now, though. If you see Steven now, obviously he's the same height, but he's like, boom, he's a little bit more stocky and more, he has more strength now. Um, so that's what I would say. I think it's a 50-50, right? It requires a lot of core, a lot of strength, because you can be someone really, as a flyer, you can be someone really lean, but not necessarily strong,
Amen.
or someone thicker and not necessarily weak, so you have a little bit of both. So it does require a lot of core strength, and engaging your entire body as you're flying, kind of doing it 50-50, you giving it your all, your partner giving it your all, and not expecting that because he's big and you're small that he's just going to toss you up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Can we talk about this piece for a second? Because it's such a contrast to what we were just watching, right? We were watching you doing competition stuff. Now, this routine is not a competition piece. This is pure
It's
art and
not.
fun,
That is
and
a
I love it.
fabulosa piece. That is such a fabulosa piece. So Zeke Rubalcaba is really special. Every partnership that I've had has been really special. I think overall I have been known for a solo artist, right? And I've collaborated and danced with different people.
Which I
And
love, by the way. I love
yes,
that.
and it's just, not everybody has been able to do it. So if you see all my videos with different partners, like it's just all collaboration and stuff. And Marley is wanting my attention right now. And so this is Marley.
Hi,
He
Marley.
just wants my attention. So with Zeke, I always describe Zeke as he took me under his wing. Zeke took me under his wing, and he's one of the reasons why I traveled more. I was more known in the dance community. He was my next step to be able to keep growing in my career. So I always say he took me under his wing when the partnership with Alejandro and I ended, right? Steven and I were just collaborating in LA. Zeke was like, let's train, let's choreograph and have this performance for the LA Bachata Festival. And I remember, us learning choreography through videos, or if he had an event in LA, we would meet, or if I had an event somewhere, we would meet. But we ended up putting it together. I think it was only a matter of just a couple of rehearsals, to be honest, and I mean, you can see it's a fun piece, but of course, like everything else, it could be better, right?
Oh, yeah.
If we had that time. And I think all of my choreographies with partners have been like that, where it was always we only have this week to choreograph and showcase next week, an example. And so, and then working with different partners. This was the world competition. We didn't place, we didn't make it to finals either. But it was a really fun piece because I think it was his first time competing at the World Cup in the bachata, and I overall had a lot of fun. There was no tricks in here, pretty much, maybe like one baby lift. But it was mainly mainly dancing, and his style is completely different than what I was used to, right? I learned that he likes to do more patterns and dance a little bit more. And in LA, I was so used to the pop lock with Alejandro, right? The let me hear this musicality, more urban, just completely different style. So with Zeke, I got the confidence out. I built more confidence with Zeke just because of who he is as a person, as a human, and how like he carries himself, and how he was like, no, you gotta be explosive and boom and die and let them, like have it. And so I've learned all of that with Zeke, and that's something that I'm forever grateful. I'm forever grateful.
He is such
a
beautiful soul.
Get my sassiness out.
I absolutely love him.
A lot of fun moments with him.
And it's so nice to hear that he was so like encouraging and supportive of you coming into your own, if you will. And I mean, look, here you go, solo.
Oh my God.
I mean, you don't end
Not
up
that
you don't
one.
stay solo, but, like, that's you
Not
commanding a
that
stage.
one. Oh my God.
Can we talk about this performance, please?
Yes.
After you get over the shock that clearly you're going
I
through right
cannot
now?
believe it. Oh my God. So, okay, so the memories on this one. This was Reno, and the
Mhm,
person I'm dancing with is Alvin. He is uh, him and I dated for a few years. He was my boyfriend then,
mhm.
and I remember I needed to have. I forgot if it was that I needed a show that was X amount long, right, or minutes. My point is that he stepped in to help me out so that I can fulfill my commitment to this festival.
Wow.
He's not a professional. He wasn't a professional instructor or anything then, he still doesn't teach or anything. He loves to dance. But honestly, he helped me out. And then I remember he wanted to perform, so we performed. And then Stevens, I was going to say Steven Steakhouse. Steven Correa, Steven Correa came in right after that. And
Okay.
right there, you see Steven come in. So right after this performance, it was a little bit scary because the performance was fun and everything. And like I said, you see your mistake now that you see how you used to dance back in the day. It's kind of like, oh my God, I did that.
Listen, again, it's important
But
for the viewers to see your growth, right?
yeah,
None of us started perfect. It's a journey. It's
it
a
is a
journey we're
journey.
still
It's
on.
it's it's
We're all still
crazy.
working on ourselves, every day is a chance to better yourself, to learn more and to improve. I say that all the time.
Yeah. So we did that performance with Steven, but after I came out, I started feeling dizzy on stage.
Really?
I started feeling really dizzy on stage. I was just trying to get through every movement. And the moment I got off stage, I passed out. I fainted and I
What?
scared everybody.
But
Mhm.
why? What happened?
Um, I don't know. I
Has that
don't know.
ever
I
happened to
just
you
did.
before?
Yeah, it happened to me in my childhood. In my childhood, I would lose a lot of I would bleed a lot on my nose. And
Oh,
I couldn't get excitement. I couldn't get sad news because my body couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I was extremely low on iron. I was always anemic,
oh my
and I would
god.
constantly lose blood in my nose. And every time I would get excited about something, I just my body couldn't take it. You know, and that's all I remember about my childhood. So this brought me that memory because it had not happened in a long time, and people don't know of what my childhood was like. Only my family. So I'm
Yeah.
constantly getting my parents calling me, my sisters calling me, "Are you taking iron? Are you good?" To this day, they always worry because I didn't have the most fun childhood. I was most of the time hospitalized.
Oh, wow.
So this reminded me of that moment where I got too excited and I just passed out. And I remember I scared my friends. I scared Joe. I scared Vince. I scared the promoter. Uh, and I told them I was gonna be fine, but it was pretty weird.
Jimmy
So that
says
was
he used to have the same thing.
say that again.
Jimmy said he went through the same thing when he was young.
Yeah, it was so weird. I remember my grand because like again, I was raised by my grandmother. I grew up with her and she was always in the hospital and I'm gonna get emotional because that's what my childhood was like, you know, constantly with nosebleeds, constantly hospitalized. I had surgeries to stop it. I have this scar on my arm. It's really tiny and that is when I moved to the States. When I moved to the States because they told my parents, look, her anemia is too severe. She could get leukemia.
Oh my god.
It was to that level. And I have this scar here because when I moved to the States, they took me to, the first thing my parents did is they took me to go get checked and see where I was and to get me into a treatment. And the doctor he cut my arm a little bit. He made this cut to see how long it would bleed, to time how long it would bleed.
Oh my god.
Mhm. Yeah, so that was my childhood. So that moment reminds me of that I was like, wait, why did that happen? It hasn't happened in a long time. And now I just get dizzy once in a while, but it's not like, I'm always making sure the fitness has helped me a lot. I'm always making sure I'm taking my iron, my vitamins. I think that's really important. But so far, I do get nosebleeds from time to time still, but it's not to the level where I used to. This performance,
Mm-hmm.
because I get distracted with the videos. This performance was a collaboration. I went as a solo artist to Mexico, and I was hired by the instructor who I'm dancing with. And he hired me to celebrate his anniversary with his dance company. And he wanted to do a collaboration with me because, that's something that he wanted to do. And, I guess you can say it was a goal of him to perform with me once. So that's what he did. And I
I
just
love
went.
that.
I did that within a couple of hours, you know?
And that costume, by the way, is gorgeous. Like, it's so
Oh my God.
simple but elegant. Like, I loved it.
Yes, that was my go-to costume. Like, okay, I need something just not too crazy, and I use that one. So that was
We all
really
have a
nice.
go-to.
Yeah,
We all have
and
one.
you saw a lot of people using that costume after. It was kind of cool in a way.
Just like
This
you
one,
copied someone's style, now they copy yours.
that's okay because it happens.
It happens. It happens.
Oh my God, there's been several times. I have one costume designer, right? Ana Rosa Designs. She has made my costumes since I used to be an amateur dancer with tropical rhythm,
Mhm.
and she's made most of my costumes. And I say most of my costume because there was one costume that was a gift from Zeke. He gifted me a purple costume that was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But aside from that one, all my costumes have been made by Ana Rosa, and she's family to me, including this blue costume. She made it, which I've been getting a lot of messages to see if, oh, would you sell that costume? But I always tell people I don't sell my costume. That is my legacy.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
and finding
all
a
my
good
costumes.
seamstress is like gold.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that she's I have built a great relationship with her, and
Mhm.
I have been in love with everything that she has done for me. So, um, yeah, there have been people who have gone to her with my picture and have told her, I want this costume. And she's like, no, 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 that's Kathy's costume. And I make that for her and I can make it different for you. So she does that. This performance, oh my God, that was a really fun performance.
And it was first place.
It was first place.
It was
Yes,
first place.
it was my other first place. For this one, we did it with Jonathan Platero. He's a phenomenal dancer. You guys can all YouTube him, right? He's choreographer for Dancing with the Stars, and he also did Dancing with the Stars and So You Think You Can Dance. He was on a few of them, and then became a choreographer for that show. And then he also that performance was an MTV show. I know
I
now
remember that show.
the new generation, right, of dancers don't know about that show, but we did an MTV show called Bachata Nights, and that is
Yep.
why when I moved to the Bay Area, my social is called Bachata Nights, just because everybody remember that show. So anyways, that performance that you just saw earlier was a part of that show. And I was honored to have been able to compete with Jonathan Platero. We only had a week to do the choreography and perform it.
Wow.
So this one was my debut, my second debut with Junior, Francisco Junior.
Yes,
And
this partnership lasted a little bit longer
this
than the last
partnership
one.
lasted a little bit longer. I think Junior was very cheerful. Junior was hilarious, or he is hilarious.
He is very funny.
And he was dancing with Grizzly Dance Company then. And I remember for this event, I was hired with Jonathan Platero. And somehow something else came up. Jonathan couldn't make it, but I had already signed my contract with this San Diego Congress. And so I needed to find a plan B because that's just what I do. And I needed to find someone who had the same energy that Jonathan Platero had. And the first person that crossed my mind, and the only person that crossed my mind as far as energy and talent, was Junior. And so I asked them, and I know that with Grizzly Dance Company, they had this rule where they couldn't dance with anybody else. And so I was like, oh, I was praying. I was like, oh my God, I hope Grizzly says yes. So I brought it up to Junior, just with, hoping that it was a yes. And I was like, I know that these are the rules in the company, but I'm just, wondering if like you could just do this for me, because the Congress is next weekend and I have to do 2 shows by next weekend, And so he spoke to Grizzly. Grizzly was very supportive of him and of myself. And so we ended up doing 2 shows within that week. We choreographed 2 shows. There's another one that's really fun. It's one of my favorites with Junior.
I think I have a video of it coming up later.
Yeah, this one was super. This video with the white costume, we ended up freestyling half of it the day of the show because we forgot it. And so if you see him giggling, that's because we're like, oh snap, what's next? And we're just like, and it's such a romantic song. So I'm just trying to like engage it. And then we get messages that was one of their favorite choreos. And we're like, oh, we freestyled half of it. But yes, that was one of my longest partnerships. We did a lot of traveling with Junior. I did a lot of cabaret. Junior had this energy, right? And I think our energies match somehow, or they blend in somehow, and our our creative thinking, of like, oh, let's try this, let's try that,
Mm-hmm.
So I've learned with Junior, I've learned to do things last minute, to do things like he was the type of dancer who would say, let's do this. Let's finish this choreography and do it tonight. And I was like, what? You're crazy, And so
I know a couple people like that.
Yeah, he was that type of person who would say like, let's complete it tonight. We'll do it tonight, And so I've learned that from him, to be able to kind of adjust, And I've learned that from my first director too, as an amateur, DJ Sonic or Luis Aguilar, right, from LA,
Mm-hmm.
Because he would make last minute changes in the team. Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, now you're gonna move here and stuff like that. So, and then Junior came in and he kind of reinforced that. So we were so used to dancing and debuting, and I was like,
It happens to the best of us.
It was a really good partnership for a while. It lasted. He went his way and I went my way. And
how did this come to be?
Oh, that one, because like I'm telling you, every World Cup I showed up with a different partner. Every World Cup I showed up with a different partner for XYZ, right? Because I was always collaborating with people, and with Javier Campines, I wanted to do this competition. That's the routine. That was a performance that we did in Chicago. It was an event that was hosted by Zeke Rubalcaba, Fabulosa. And he loved one specific part of this choreo. He loved the choreo, but there was one part that he was like, oh my God, I just want to see you guys do this movement. But we ended up competing this at the World Cup. And that was the first time that they did the cabaret category, where they divided into like non-cabaret and cabaret.
Yep.
And that was 2013, 2012.
2013. This was 2013.
No, 2012. Yeah, that video was 2013, but the World Cup was 2012. This is my trophy.
Look at you sitting there with your trophies right next to you. I love it.
Yeah, right here. And so we did that in 2012 and we got 3rd place. And yeah, that was pretty fun. I think Alian Ramirez got 2nd and the Italians got 1st. Italians were crazy, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so then we did Chicago. We did a few gigs with Javier, and then of course he met his former partner. Well, that back then,
Mm-hmm.
and they were in a relationship, so it just worked best for him. And him and I have always been good friends. If I have students, I recently just took a private lesson with him at one of the congresses here in San Francisco, the San Francisco Congress that we just had last week.
Yes.
And because I love who he is as an instructor, as a coach. I've never had a negative experience about him. If anything, he was one of my favorite partners. Not only was Javier Campines, my first instructor as a lead, a male instructor in the dance community, right? Because he was partnering with Josie Neglia back then. but he just the dedication that he showed me so much dedication. And I have so much respect. And granted, nobody's perfect, right? Everybody has their good, their bad. Believe me, I made a lot of mistakes throughout my career, you know. And when I moved to San Francisco, but that's another topic. When I moved to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, I wanted to kind of start fresh, you know, and kind of not make sure that I wouldn't make the same mistakes. But anyways, what the point where I'm getting at is Javier showed me. I have nothing negative to say about Javier or any of my partners. I think Javier showed me a lot of dedication. I remember I used to work as a server because it was my very first job. They were really flexible as I was building my dance career. Really flexible with my schedule where I could travel for a whole month and then still come back and have my job.
Wow.
You know, and that was an Italian restaurant. It was Macaroni Grill. Love, love, love all my managers there. But I remember I would get off work, you know, and then I had to drive all the way to Hollywood because back then Javier didn't have a car to move around, so he would take the bus, right?
Oh, wow.
I remember I would find him at 24-hour fitness. We could practice at 12 midnight or 1 a.m. and still get our practice in. He never said no. He was always like, okay, you know, Javier, I get off like at midnight. Okay, let's meet at 1 a.m. Like an example. He showed me so much dedication. And I remember I would get to the gym. I would find him like reclining on a wall, like just taking a nap. And I was like, I would feel so bad, you know, because he was always on the go. You know, he was always like teaching here, teaching there, but always never canceled one rehearsal with me. Oh, he was always there. And I love that about him. You know, and my experience as in the little time that we danced together and we traveled together, it was phenomenal. Such a respectful guy for me. And that is why I still have that good relationship with him where I'm like, okay, well, I have my students. Hey, Javier, can you come teach here? Javier, can I take a private with you with one of my students here? You know, so that was kind of fun. Really good experience with Javier.
I love that you have such great relationships with all of your partners. That's
I do,
such a
and of
beautiful
course, you
thing.
know, not everything. There was a little bit of tension at some point with some partners, not all.
Always.
But I think overall, I'm good with everybody now. You know, no hard feelings. This one, oh my God, what I remember about this show is that we were number 98 of something, 100 and something shows. This was the maybe I'm exaggerating by 98, but I remember that's the number that we had in our head. There were so many shows. This was the Orlando Salsa
Yes.
Congress. They had such a humongous lineup. It just felt like it was never gonna end. And this was that one performance where we were like, when are we going up? You know? But this was one of my favorite pieces with Zeke. Really fun. Really, really, really fun.
What was it? What is it about this piece in particular that made it like one of your favorites?
Because it was a more romantic song, and he wanted to like milk it a little bit more. I was able to dance a little bit more, you know. I enjoyed it. I love the song. The song was Se busca un corazón, da, 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 right?
Yes.
And I liked it. I love that song.
Unfortunately, I can't play the music on here while we're doing the show
I
for
know,
2
right?
reasons. 1, I
Yes.
don't want YouTube blocking it for content, and, 2, I want them to hear you. So if you guys wanna watch any of these videos of Kathy and hear the music, you can just search her on YouTube. That's where I pulled them all from. So you can get the full experience that way because I can't play the music on here. Sorry, people.
Yeah, so many great memories, to be honest, so many lessons learned. I think overall in my career, just as much as I inspire people, I also disappointed people. And I think I am okay saying it and admitting it, you know, because it is a part of my journey, you know,
Absolutely.
and I am not trying to kind of cover the sun with a finger, you know. It's like it is who I am. Those are the mistakes that I made. Now, if I was making the mistakes over and over and till today, then I gotta work on something, right? But I feel like I've learned, right? And that is why sometimes when when I hear comments, because you're always going to hear rumors, comments, negative, positive in the dance community, which is not nice, not good, but it's just, that's just what people do, right? I sometimes kind of just sit back and I'm like, well, I don't know, that is their version, but who is this person to me? How does this person treat me? And maybe this person has learned for XYZ.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had my moments where I'll never forget, and I'm more than happy to share it here with everybody. Where I had a moment where, one, I had my first alcoholic drink at 21, and two, right, I wasn't much of a drinker, and then I remember there was a point where when I was still dancing with Alejandro, where that's all they saw them doing was drink, 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 party room, party room. So I remember I drank a little too much, and like I said earlier, I was really good friends with, or I still, I still have a friendship with Jorge Contreras, and but back then we were a lot closer. We would hang out all the time, and so I remember, I think I drank a little too much, and I just laid down on one of the chairs. And I remember him waking me up, and the next day he was so quiet, right? And I remember him saying, Mama, you embarrassed yourself last night, just by you like passing out, or just maybe not passing out like blackout, because I never got to that point, but you just laying on the couch because you were so tired. Instead of walking to your room, you embarrass yourself, and I needed to hear that. And I'll never forget that he said that to me. And I am grateful that he said that to me, you know because I had moments like that, and I needed somebody to kind of slap me on the face a little bit and be like, that's not who you are. I didn't meet you drinking. And I know Jorge Contreras does not drink at all. He has his
Mhm.
reasons. And so, and I think that's one of the things that we had in common, that we would get along because we didn't drink. So I remember him sharing something like that. So like I said, I've made my mistakes as much as I made my good, and as much as I've inspired people. And I think those are, sometimes we have those people in our lives that can come and tell us, tell it like it is. And I am grateful for that moment. And also the fact that I got into fitness, that has helped me a lot. My palates have changed. If I drink, I'll sip a little bit of wine, but I just don't crave it. It's not my thing. I'd rather eat. Yeah, but I made, like I said, I made those mistakes, a lot of them, and and if I could go back, I would prefer doing it slightly different, especially because I was building a dance career. But back then I didn't see it that way. I was like, oh, I'm just dancing, and
Mhm.
little did I know people were watching. Little did I know, maybe I was, people were getting a different perspective of me, of who I truly am or what I am capable of. And so I felt like that needed to change, I needed to kind of work on just bettering myself, and not just living the moment, but having a plan to say, this is what I want, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm working with, and even then things are still not perfect. There's still so much that I can improve on, um, but you keep growing, and as long as you have the mindset of like, you have to keep growing with every experience, and you have to kind of like, if you need to apologize. If you need to ask somebody why they're acting different with you, don't be afraid to go up to them and say, hey, did I do something? And if they felt like you did and they express it to you, then just really say, what, that was not my intention, or whatever that case is. But you learn a lot in your dance journey as an instructor, and as a dancer, and as a human being in general. That was my World Cup with Francisco
Junior.
Jr. That
Was
was
this the costume that Zeke made?
Yes, that's my costume, and he made it just for this competition.
It's
He made
gorgeous.
it for him, he made it for me, and he gifted that to both of us. He sponsored us with our costumes that year, and we made it to finals, and we took fifth place in that competition. That was
That
my first.
competition got harder and harder every year.
Yeah, and I love it, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's the whole point of competition, to keep challenging yourself, to keep growing. And you guys definitely grew together, you and Junior. You definitely see just, uh,
Yeah,
the quality of work was fantastic. And you guys really looked good together.
yeah. I really, really enjoyed my performances with him.
How
I
long did
really
you
did.
guys dance together for in
I
total?
would say for 3 years.
3 years?
Yeah, but in those 3 years, we did a lot. We have, let me see. I think we did like 2 choreographies a year.
Nice. Who made this costume? Was this your lady and,
My same lady,
the
yeah,
same lady?
yeah. And I think this is my costume that has more, it shows a little bit more, and
Mhm.
that's Junior's fault. He
That's
was like,
Junior's
I want
fault.
something, he was like, I want something leatherish, you know? And then he would go to Ana Rosa, he would be like, have her show her nalgas, Ana Rosa, you know? Because all my costumes were a little bit more covering, and this one
Mhm.
was the more exotic one back then, 2014.
Yes, this was 2014.
Hmm.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And
It's
then
so
this
different.
choreography was really fun, but even then, we completely transformed this choreography. We completely transformed it into something that just did not look too much like this, you know. And I remember this, we did it for the show, but then as we agreed to do another year at the World Latin Dance Cup, which was my last competition at the World Latin Dance Cup,
Mhm.
um, we ended up changing it a lot.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, every routine evolves. I always tell my students, like, don't get married to the choreography.
Yes, don't get
It
married to the choreography because it's always going to change and it's going to look different. And you're
it's
going to notice that, yeah. And then the other thing is when you're choreographing, you try something and it doesn't work and you keep trying it because you want it to work, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes it's good to just take a step back, do something that's maybe not exactly what you intended to do, but as you're performing it, it will come out. It will come out. The movement for that specific part will come out. You know, so
Mhm.
choreographies are fun to do because you're able to be creative, you're able to change, you know, it doesn't have to be this is it, you know.
And you definitely have more of that freedom when you're doing solo work.
Yes, you have, yes. Uh Solos are scary. Solos are scary. I found that me doing solos sometimes would one, I would have a hard time choreographing for me alone. I can
Mhm.
choreograph for someone else a lot faster and easy. But to choreograph for myself, I was like, oh, do I really want to do this? Oh, how do I look? You know, it's just so different. And knowing that when you're on stage, all the attention is on you.
Mhm.
You know, all the attention is on you, so that's kind of frightening, but I loved it. This choreography, I ended up teaching it to one of my teams and they did beautiful with it.
I love this choreography, and I love that the costume is such a stark difference from what we just saw.
Yes, yeah, my costume, I just wanted it more elegant, you know, more flowy. It just matched the song. I think I always do that. If the song, I like to create my costumes depending on the song. I have to feel the song and the overall image of what I'm trying to portray. And that was one of them. This was a very pretty song, and that's what I wanted. And even when we did it with my team, I had them use a nice flowy dress, and it was nice.
I love it. It's a
Yeah,
shame that there's somebody walking forward in the shot there, but so is live performances. You never know what you're gonna get in the audience.
you never know what you're gonna get, you know. And like I said, all the attention's on you, so it is a little bit scary to go ahead and do solos, but it's also fun because it helps you learn, you know.
Absolutely.
Sometimes if you blink out, you know, when you're dancing with the team, if you blink out, you gotta keep going, but you can still see the mistake, right?
This is your
Oh,
team?
this was one of my teams. Yes, one of my teams, and I think that was our first congress. It was my first. This was before COVID,
Yes.
where I started doing my co-ed teams here in the Bay Area.
Mhm.
And I was able to put this piece together. And because we had different levels, I didn't want to do something too crazy, and but I wanted to kind of keep it as clean as possible. And this is what I did. You know, it was my very first choreography in the Bay Area with a co-ed team. But I had my team in San Diego, and I
Mhm.
had my team in LA as well. Um, this is just what I started with in the Bay Area, and I loved it. Everybody was so much fun. they're all very supportive of each other, which I love, And then we did Reno right before COVID. This is a pro-am. This is a pro-am that I did.
Hmm.
And the gentleman I'm dancing with, his name is Esteban.
Yes.
And I met him at a social, and I love how spontaneous he was and how energetic he was. And um, I
Very
love
strong.
that he's really strong. He reminded me of like the height-wise of Alejandro,
Really?
where I felt like I could fly anywhere. And so with Stefan, I'm the one that told him, hey, you want to do a pro-am? Just because I really wanted to like fly, and I really wanted to like get him out there. And I felt like this guy has so much potential,
Hmm.
And when I met him, he had just started in the dance community. We worked a lot on his basics. We worked a lot on, posture and energy, and kind of be softer here, be stronger here, And of course, then from there, he started taking privates with different instructors, different classes. And I know that he has been training a lot lately,
Love it.
And I know that his goal, I partner him up with another student of mine who was on the previous video. And they are, I also did what my instructor back in the day did for me. I did a choreography for them to be able to compete. And I trained them and I guide them, and they competed, they got third place. And now they're just focusing on their partnership. So
Love
now
it.
they both want to grow. They both want to grow. I think with the pandemic, they have been taking a lot of online classes and stuff like that. But this choreography was an amazing piece. One of my favorites, um, it was a very personal choreography. It's a very personal choreography. So I really enjoyed it. The crowd here in the Bay Area or wherever we showcased it loved it. We had great feedback, and yeah.
Speaking of your growth, right? You've been a performer, a competitor, you're a director, you're training up all these dancers. You are also an event organizer,
I
which not a
am.
lot of people know about.
I am. That's my baby event. I have the shirt, the Beya Dance Weekender. I started that in 2018, 2019, sorry. Started that in 2019. And the idea was to bring different styles, different women that can teach and inspire other women, right? And it was a celebration. So I do it in March, celebration of Women's History Month. I'm trying to read, but I'm not reading. So anyways, it's a celebration of Women's History Month. And what I did is I did it at the studio where I teach or where I host all my socials and events. It's called Ashkenaz Music and Dance Community Center. They have been known to bring different communities, different ethnicities, right, through different styles of music. So if you go to Ashkenaz, you'll see different events like tango, flamenco, bhangra, so much. So I wanted to create an event that was showcasing, representing what I like, right? The fact that I'm a solo artist, the fact that I have been able to build and continue to keep my name alive, and been able to inspire women and create and just build my own thing, as a solo artist and as a female artist. And so I wanted to kind of incorporate that, be able to bring other empowering women or females into the event, and also incorporating what Ashkenaz was all about, which was a multicultural dance, right? So I created this event, and there was different workshops. There was tango, not tango. Tango was last year, but there was flamenco, bhangra, jazz, cha-cha, different styles, live music, as you can see there. And then it was a 2-day event, right? And I had a big studio and a baby studio. My teams did that to one of the cars. Such a beautiful event. And of course, it was to celebrate women, but everybody was welcome. So for the workshops, we had a few gentlemen come in to the workshops and take the workshops, and that was fun. At night, we had all the leads coming in, to socialize because it was like a party, and it was mainly a night, bachata, salsa, merengue, party at night, 2 days of workshops. And we had a panel. We had a panel where we would talk about safety, right, in our dance community. Women share their personal stories as to why maybe some of them did not feel comfortable going to congresses, what they've experienced, and how safe they felt being here in an all-women event. We were just celebrating women, so that was a really good panel. I think I was the first one to have to do something like that, to talk about something like that within an event. And of course, we gave them mimosas and like treats and all that stuff. So it was a very exclusive event because it's not huge. It's small. I think I had about 100 students. And and then we also had the ladies team showdown, which was a competition, an all genre competition. And what inspired me for that was honestly the LA scene. How back in the day, right? If you look at videos from LA, performances now are just like 1, 2, 3, go, right? Or whatever the case is. But back in the day, it was a production. And like I said, I came in towards the very end of that. I didn't get to see that, but I have DVDs of like the competitions at the Mayan back in 2001, 2002, and also I'm really good friends with Jo Quiñones, who has so much history. She knows so much about the community, and she's so creative. And how the scene was so different back in the day. Everything was a production more than a recital, And so I wanted to kind of give people the freedom. And even though it was a competition, I wanted people to be like, you know what? Be creative. How creative can you be? If you want to do jazz and mix it with salsa and hip hop or whatever, use props, act, live music, do whatever you want within this time frame, and it was a who brought it, of course I had judges and stuff like that, but it was in all genre. And I think I've been the only one who's been able to do something like that, at least the first one that I know of. And so that was pretty great, and people loved it, and I got great feedback, and that's something that I want to keep a tradition at my event. One, the event is different genres, right? And sometimes it's hard, because you have so much talent, you have so many bachateras, salseras, and at any point I don't want to exclude anyone, right? But at the same time, it's like I can't have 10 salseras at the event. I need to have one salsera, one person who teaches salsa, one person who teaches hustle, one person who teaches bhangra, And so the more the instructors know, right, the different genres they don't know, the more you're opening yourself to more doors, such as my event, which is what I want. I want it to be different styles, different genres. Like, can you challenge me? Can you challenge the students?
I really hope it comes back, and you'll let us know about it, right?
Yes, I will let you know about it. I think right now it is honestly a little late for me to organize something, as I usually get the ticket sales out in August. Usually the event is the first weekend of March, and then right before COVID, we were the very last event in the Bay Area. And then COVID happened, right? The shutdown. And then last year, I will say we should do something very last minute, complimentary for everybody. I just went live on Facebook, and I did my little coffee mugs, and people donated. They got a coffee mug, and the instructors, some of the instructors donated their time. They came over, and they taught the class, and I did it at the same studio, Ashkenaz. I had just one instructor at a time come in and teach, and everything was virtual. There was nobody in the room but my assistants, and the instructor. So hoping that next year we're able to do something, even if it's something small. And the reason why I haven't promoted for it is because Ashkenaz is going through a construction process. It's a city landmark, and so there's certain regulations that we need to meet before we reopen up again. And so that's what we're working on. And I think because I haven't gotten the green light is also, and I get so attached to places. I think that's my problem too, because I have gotten comments where people are like, why don't you do it at another place? And I'm like, but that's not what I want,
You're like, it's not my home.
I know that the event has to grow at some point, and I pray that it does. And so we'll see where life takes us and my event. But my event will be there, whether it happens next year, small, or the following year bigger. It will be there, and it's not something that I'm willing to kind of. I don't want it to die off. I want it to grow because it was just starting, and it's such a unique event.
Well, I definitely think it will be back, and it'll be back better than ever if you have anything to say about it, so I'm not concerned. You, like I said earlier, really, like a fine wine, have just gotten better over the years.
No.
You and I were talking about your fitness journey
Yes.
and how it's really grown, especially during the COVID time period. Can
Mhm.
you talk about that a little bit? We're almost out of time, but I definitely want you to touch
Yeah,
on that,
of
especially since
course.
you're sitting on your bicycle.
Since I'm sitting on my
Since you're
bicycle.
sitting on your bicycle.
Yes. So my fitness journey, one, I've always loved fitness. Like I said at the very beginning of this podcast or interview. My dad used to be very athletic, so was my mom, and I've always carried that. I've always done cross country. I was really good at the 200 meter, 200 meter, and so I would compete doing, races, and I've always been involved in fitness somehow. Now, I always wanted to do the bodybuilding competitions, which is completely different. Somehow, I'm always been very competitive. I always love any kind of competitions. I love it. So I remember I went to a social, and I always said, one day I'm going to compete. One day I'm going to do that, right? I would go to the gym here and there, but never kind of kept a strict meal plan, or I didn't know too much of it. I did what I could, and what I knew back then. One of the socials, I met my coach, Body by Brian. His name is Brian Anderson, and so I saw him being in his car and kind of taking a supplement, and I was like, and he's really buff, and so I looked at him and I was like, hey, you compete? He goes, I competed before, but I train. I prepare people for competition. So I was like, oh, I want to do that one day. He goes, okay, well, give me a call. And at that point, I was already teaching in San Diego because I started teaching at A Time to Dance. I taught there for 3 years. I used to be Tulane and Angels studio for a while, and they used to be the organizers of the San Diego Congress. Anyhow, I met my coach. He saw me at a Congress one day. He goes, hey, mama, you said you wanted to compete. I have one spot left. Are you going to do it? So I said, fine, I'll do the assessment on Wednesday, because I would go to San Diego every Wednesday. The gym where he used to train is the oldest gym in the States. I think it's 1946 or
Wow.
something. And it used to be owned by, the gym is called Stearns Gym. You guys have to go if you guys are in San Diego. That gym was literally 1 block away from the studio where I was teaching at.
Wow.
So I went to go get my assessment, and I remember he did the assessment, which is like, let me see how your push-ups, let me see your squats. Okay. He goes, okay, well, we have the nutritionist here. So then Rosie, who was my nutritionist back then and my posing coach back then, comes over and she's like, let me see you, mama, and like we go into the locker room and put a bikini on, and she tells me to pose here and there, starts doing my meal plan, and there we go. I started, and I was like, you didn't even give me time to think about it. And he goes, you said you wanted to do it, and I started my journey since then, and that was August 2015, that competition journey. So I started there, and then we've done a show every year pretty much. Then I did 3 shows within 2 years. Then I took a little break because I injured my back, and then I came back again 2019, and I won. I won this one.
Wow.
So I have 4 of them, 4 of those girls right here. Yeah, but my first competition, I got 5th place. 5th place in my category was really good. It's like being at the World Cup and you getting 5th, right? So, and then I have a 1st place, I have a 2nd place, and then of course I have a 3rd and a 4th. But every competition is just, you get better and better. And till now, I'm like, I can be better. I can be so much better. And with the pandemic, I think me incorporating the fitness into my life and knowing that everything was closed and and that we couldn't go back to the studios, right? I wanted to do the home workouts, the virtual home workouts. And
Mhm.
I had organized workout classes in the past here at my sim studio, Ashkenaz, and it was great. And I made people sweat, you know, but I had never, and I wanted to do a program online and I wanted to do more classes. And I just never felt like I was capable of doing it. I always felt like, no, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I should wait a little longer. And I had to talk to my coach for him to be like, Mama, you're ready. You've been ready. You know, what are you talking about? You know how much I've learned from you, how much you've learned so far from me, and vice versa. And you know, because you're more than ready. So I felt like I kind of got his blessing, you know, for him to be like, okay, do this, you know. And so I started the virtual classes and people loved it until now, you know. That's why I was rushing this morning because I had my group class online. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta fix my hair a little bit before I meet, you know, for women with women of dance. And so yeah, I've been doing that the entire pandemic, every day, Monday through Friday, you know, online workouts. And then I also started incorporating, I have a lot of equipment in my garage gym.
That
And
was
so
gonna be my next question. I heard you turned your garage into like a gym.
I did, but I had equipment prior to the pandemic. And then with the pandemic, I started like trying to buy more little things here and there and like investing, right? Then I started training people. No, and I think I can relate with people a lot, and people trust me a lot because of the injuries that I have. So I'm not pushing people. My home workouts, same thing. I push people to how I can take my body, but I give them modifications when people have injuries. I communicate with them, you know. You can't have everybody do the exact same thing. You have to give them like here, you know, something light, something medium, something, you know, a
Mhm.
little bit more challenging. So everybody's very different. It's important to know everybody's injuries. And so, yeah, I started training and that's what I do. And then I said, well, let's do a group class. Why don't we take the gym outside? So then I started doing I call it the real deal gym because that's my coach. That's what he came up with it. He was like, dang, that's a real deal gym. That's the real deal right there, you know? So it just stayed like that. So now it's the real deal gym. So because I take my gym equipment outdoor, now it's the real deal outdoor workout, you
I
know?
love it.
And so, yeah, so I've been doing outdoor workouts and virtual workouts and my dance classes back in the studio. So I've been doing that, incorporating dance and fitness together, and something that I've been inspiring people for sure. You know, I've been getting messages, you know, on how like, I went to Miami for my birthday in June and I went to go take this class. I don't remember what the class was called, but it was a fitness class, right? Where you like
Mhm.
kind of climb like this. It's tiring. And so some kind of, I don't know, you grab and you do that. So the teacher was there, right? And at the end of the class, I'm walking out with my friend and she runs out and she goes, "Are you Kathy? Like Kathy Reyes?" And I was like, "Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's me." You know, I thought it was so odd in Miami. You know, I was like, "Yeah, that's me." And she goes, "You inspire me to do a fitness competition. Girl, you have no idea." Da, 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 da.
Aw.
And then that feels so amazing. It truly felt so amazing. And it's not the first time that I have someone coming up to me or messaging me and telling me, I tried this because of you. And it's amazing. And that's why when I always say my prayers, right? Or when we perform, I always give words of encouragement to my team or anybody I'm around, because I'm always, you know, praying that I can for me to inspire people as much as
Yep.
other people have inspired me. So those are my words
I
all the
love it.
time.
I
All the
love that.
time.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's so great. Well, before we wrap it up, for everybody that wants to check out Kathy's info, her fitness classes, her online classes, you can follow her. I've had her information streaming at the bottom the whole time. She's at Kathy Reyes Dance and Fitness or something like
Yes.
it has to scroll
Yeah.
again.
So Facebook is just Kathy Reyes, right? Or
Kathy
Kathy
Reyes,
Reyes Dance. And
Kathy
then
Reyes
Marley's
Dance.
about to drop me off the bike. And then
No,
Instagram is
don't do
Kathy
it,
Reyes
Marley.
Dance Fitness. You know, right? Yeah.
Marley, you've been so good during this interview. Don't push
That's
her
all
off
she
the
wants.
bike.
She wants to be a part of the interview. And she's been with me throughout the journey.
Well, there's only fair then she was part of the interview itself as well.
Right? And she's like,
Well, but
excuse me.
Before I let you go, I do have one final question for you.
Yeah.
It's the same one I ask all my guests. If there was one piece of advice that you could give to women who want to make it in this business, what would that
Mhm.
piece of advice be?
One, don't get in a relationship with anybody and work with that person, well, right? That's the number one rule. It's just not going to work out like that. It's rare, very
Very
few.
rare.
But I think if you want to start on your own and build your name on your own, most important thing is to continue to train. Be so good as an amateur student. Be so good that people are tired of seeing you as an amateur. You know, um, be so good that people are like, when are you gonna become a pro? Don't close yourself off with like, let me do one competition and then become a pro. And I know everybody has a different journey lifestyle, but I think I can tell you, I did even when I started teaching, I would sit down. I feel like I started early, right? That I feel that I could have explored more as an amateur,
Mhm.
and done more as an amateur, right? But I also feel that this is where life took me, where it wasn't a decision I made for myself. It was a decision that the community made for me, right? Where it was like, you won this competition and we want you here. So what I started doing is I would go to workshops, not only take workshops, but sometimes I would sit down and watch at the instructors that had more
Mhm.
experience, that had been in the industry for a while. And I would see how they would teach, and I learned from that, and I would kind of practice on my own, right? And then with practice comes experience, right? And you are more comfortable. But I think that is my biggest advice for me. I think it's, be so good that people are tired to see you as an amateur. If you're starting, kind of explore
Yeah.
more, because the scene right now is so competitive. And the least you want is to water it out. And the other thing is, kind of know your different styles, understand a little bit of different styles, whether it's salsa or bachata, right? For me, I know salsa, but I can honestly tell you, am I super confident of like teaching or having my own salsa team? I'm not. Could I? Yes, I can, and I am willing to, right? But I am more comfortable because of the years of practice. I'm more comfortable with bachata. And even in bachata, don't stick to one style. You can have, as an instructor, a style that you prefer. But I think
Mhm.
it's our responsibility as instructors or upcoming instructors to be able to educate people and our students about the different styles, you know, because it's important. Sometimes you have no idea how many times I've seen people dancing sensual to traditional music, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Mhm.
But it's not their fault. It is what they're being taught, and that's all they know. So I think as an instructor, we can have a preference. I love a little bit of everything, right? But people may know me. People don't know me for a traditional dancer, right? But I'll enjoy it, and I love it, and I know how to do it, but I like to fusion a little bit of everything. So I think that's my bigger advice. If you're going to become in this case, bachata instructor, kind of know the different styles. You can have your own, but no more.
I love that. No more.
No more. And just always have that mindset of continuing to inspire, and know that not everything's going to be perfect, and you're going to make mistakes, but you got to learn from those mistakes, and keep your private life to yourself. I think it's going to make you happier, and it's going to make you happier. I'm speaking based on experience. All right. When the whole world knows everything you do and all your drama, it's just not a good face to put out there. I think it's some people feel comfortable with this, some don't. I have learned that I was not happy people knowing all my business.
Mhm.
And now I enjoy and preserve my relationships to myself, and if people are around, people will know who I'm with or what I like to do, right? But kind of having a little bit more of that privacy aspect, and like I said, always remember that someone is watching. That's a long ass advice.
That's more than one answer. That's more than one. You cheated. You
I
cheated.
cheated.
You gave me
No, no,
multiple
no, no, no.
answers, but that's
Yeah.
okay because You have a lot to share, and we're really grateful that you did that. Kathy, thank you so much for coming on today, for sharing of your time and your knowledge. You
Thank
are
you so much.
an inspiration to so many.
Thank you. I really appreciate one. Congratulations for this Women of Dance. I think more people need to subscribe to your YouTube channel. And I think, and we were talking about this yesterday, and I think more people need to know about this because there's so many episodes that you have done, so many episodes. And I think also people should know of your career. I think one day somebody should come in and interview you and
That
have that
episode is
episode
happening this
with you,
season.
because it is important for people to know your career and who Sharonne is. And also Prima Dance Company, which is your baby now. Like people should know everything about you and what you're able to bring to the table, what you've done, gathering different female instructors into your interview or podcast. And yeah, I appreciate the fact that you're thought about me and that you consider me and that you just had me here. Just the invitation overall, I'm so grateful for it. Thank you for
Well,
allowing me to share a little bit more or a lot more about my journey or just in the last almost 12 years of career.
well, thank you again for your kind words, for giving of your time. I hope everybody watching really got to learn a lot more about you and really enjoyed watching you. Again, guys, if you want to watch any of the videos that you saw of Kathy, any of those performances, you can search her on YouTube or search her on Facebook on all the info that we gave you, and you can follow all of her info. Thank you, love. I appreciate you. Next week, we're going to be back. We're going to Boston, and we're talking with the talented Anna Masakote. So
Oh, that's gonna be nice. I love her.
I love her too. I can't wait. Everyone, thank you so much for watching Women of Dance. I'm your host, Sharonne Vinokurov, and I will see you all next week. Have a great
Bye
day.
bye.